Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to Our Time again.
Oh, thank you so
Hopefully you're
much.
joining us for another
Episode. Another time on Our Time, and don't forget you can actually catch up with all of our programs on YouTube. If you've missed something or you'd like to see somebody we've had in the past, don't forget to just go to Our Time TV. But we're here to tell you more about that because who's on today's episode?
Well, it's Frank Miller and he's from South Australian Sea Rescue.
So if we lose ourselves at sea...
Well, he's there.
And we
Hopefully.
also are talking to the people from Hello World again about how to fund your trip. No, it's about saving and all of those things, but is there more you can do? And it's our great pleasure to welcome Craig Fisher, who is an audiologist. Say that six times.
Audiologist, I just got my tongue around it.
Thank you very much to both of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to have you with us because as we age, we're all going to lose our hearing, I guess, a bit.
Unfortunately, it's one of those things as we get older. Not everything works quite as well, and hearing is certainly one of those.
Craig, why weren't we made to last? I'm sorry. Why weren't we made to last? I mean, look at you.
I'm made to last.
Oh, okay.
I wish we were. If worked on the head a little bit better as well, but not blessed with the likes of yourself.
So you're stop it. You're an audiologist.
Yes.
How did you become an audiologist? What drew you to that profession?
I, years ago, was thinking about following the medical pathway, looking at being a doctor, and after doing my undergraduate degree, I was offered a position in the new audiology class opening in South Australia, which was the first time.
Yep.
So I became one of the guinea pig audiologists of South Australia, and things from there, about 18 years later, and still going strong.
Oh, well done.
There's a bit of a mystery, I guess, around this whole industry. Like a lot of industries, there's the expensive people to go to, and there's... I mean, where do we really start? Do we start with the GP?
GP is probably the best place to start off with. They'll have some very quick tests they can look at to determine whether you should have things followed up a bit further.
Like whether it's a physical thing as opposed to just you're losing your hearing?
Yeah, it could be something as bad as wax, it could be an ear infection, or it could be one of those ageing type losses where following up with an audiologist is the best thing to go to.
Right.
I don't know if this is a crazy question, but does everybody lose their hearing as they get older?
Most people would do that, although I've seen 100-year-olds with perfectly normal hearing as we classify it.
And eyesight too.
Yeah, well, eyesight's the other thing.
Yeah.
Does your taste go as well and your smell?
I wouldn't be able to tell you on that one, I assume so.
Just a hearing man.
It's just a thought. I just never had that thought before. Well, we're talking about, obviously, aids to hear.
Absolutely. Hearing aids are fantastic. There are assistive listening devices to help with the TV, to help with the phone.
So what's that? Is that something like earphones you put on, or is it what?
Television ones, you can put on some headphones, wireless these days with all the technology that's available. Smoke alarms that have vibration to them, so you don't have to hear them for a very hearing impaired person.
Never thought of that.
Under the pillow alarms for people so that they can wake up with the vibration instead of their phone making a tone that they can't actually hear. So lots of different things to help assist everyone. But
I know
hearing
a few
aids
singers
are great.
who are deaf. When you hear them sing. Yes. Well, I'm fascinated by these little babies here.
They're so small, aren't they?
They are
Craig?
so small.
Compared
the red is...
Right.
That red is for the right one, the blue is for the left one. It's actually opposite nautical terms, but for hearing classification, that's how they think. I always say to a person, think R for red, R for right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking at these obviously because the technology is so tiny, I mean the fact that just sort of slips in your ear and you have to have there's a little tiny, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a tiny weeny little tab to pull out there so you don't lose it for good.
Yep. Wouldn't want to get it stuck down there.
No, you wouldn't. Well, you wouldn't want to lose it either because it's so tiny. But looking at something like this, I mean, this technology has obviously come a long way. When I was a kid, I remember people who had a little box on their chest the size of a cigarette pack and with a twisted wire going from that to the ear.
One of my first patients I used to see had one of those, and I used to use it as her volume control. She'd come in, she was 98. She'd have her device sitting on the chest with the wire coming up. She'd be talking like this. If I happened to pull out her headphones, she'd go really, really loud, and we'd put it back in and she'd drop back to normal. So she couldn't monitor her own voice level. But these days the technology has changed to become invisible with those little ones there. The other
It is.
versions
Do you need
very, very
so
small.
you can have these preset, these little baby ones,
An audiologist would preset them for your specific hearing levels.
or you can get something like this, like a little remote control to point at your ear.
Absolutely. You don't have to point it though.
Oh, don't you?
Again, wireless, so you can just hold it in your pocket. No one even know you're pressing it. Pop on your key ring.
Tricky, because my mother-in-law, bless her, she has one that's bigger than this that just tucks around the back of her ear, and she adjusts it sometimes and it whistles, and I'm going, oh, that must sound really loud to you.
She might not be able to hear that whistle though.
No, I can hear it.
Yeah.
It frightens them.
Well, obviously these come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and this little one goes behind your ear and then slips in your ear.
Yep.
Could you, Janice, do you mind, could you put that on just so that people can see? I mean, clearly this one goes straight in your ear, but
They call these the invisible ones as well, so that they pop
I've
behind
worn one of those. I've tried one.
and tuck in. You should notice, Janet, that's very comfortable, and no one will be able to see that you've actually got that on.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And your mum could probably get something like that with
Yes.
a modified end piece, be strong enough for her. Yeah.
Oh, stop it, you two. Thank you very much. I could guess you could get all sorts of colours. They'd be very trendy.
Flesh.
Flesh is very, very common. Silver and brown, black for hair colours.
Yeah.
I've had one lady go with the ruby red because she said if I'm getting hearing aids, I want everyone to know that I'm getting that. So, yeah.
So if you're having problems hearing, like you get lost in conversation with background noise and those sorts of things, because that's my problem.
Yes,
Do you have a problem?
no, I don't, but I know of friends of mine that do have a problem. So,
Cuts down your social life.
well, it does.
You can't hear anybody
No, but
talking to you. Oh, what? Pardon? What was that? What
Well,
was that?
exactly.
And that, in the last few years, that's the technology that's been changing. So hearing aids have always been able to make you hear again, but now they're working on background noise reduction, cutting out all that chit-chat that you just don't want to know about.
It's bad enough in some restaurants anyway, but if you're hard of hearing, then
It's
it would make
difficult.
it so much
Even
worse.
going to see a show or something, and
Sure.
as you said, watching TV without locking yourself into. So best advice to people who have a problem is what?
Check with your doctor first to make sure there's nothing medical with your hearing loss.
Yeah.
And then usually they will refer you to an audiologist, or you can look them up yourselves. An audiologist will be able to do the hearing tests, find out where the problem might be, and if it's something that can be helped with hearing aids or other devices that might be able to just make the TV clearer or
And they're
smoke
so
alarms, things
tiny.
like that.
Look at these tiny
Craig,
things.
it's just brilliant. Thank you so much
You're
for
very
coming
welcome.
and letting us share that information, because as we do age, it's important to obviously see clearly, and we don't ever think twice about wearing glasses, but strangely enough, we do think twice about a hearing aid.
And interestingly, Malcolm, this day and age, everything's about what they call hearables now. That's the new technology going around. People wearing Bluetooth devices for their phone.
Yeah.
They're bigger than hearing aids, yet people still don't want to
amazing,
wear a
isn't it?
hearing aid. So,
Well, thank you so much, and we'll be back with a lot more on Our Time. We're going to find out about Sea Rescue.
We are.
See you soon.
See you with.
Thank you both.
Thanks for watching Our Time. I'm Peter Sellen, and with me now is the South Australian Sea Rescue Squadron's Frank Miller. Frank, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Peter.
Now, everyone's got a boat that likes fishing. Perhaps they go out and have a great old time, but then sometimes it doesn't all work out so well. Tell us about the history and why we need such an organisation as yours.
Certainly, Peter. The organisation, the South Australian Sea Rescue Squadron, was formed in 1960 by a group of men who owned boats and had been helping people, and so they formally formed an association to be able to do that. And the main aim of the whole association is safety at sea. In the time that the Sea Rescue has been operating, I can tell you that we've attended 4,606 incidents, assisted 9,378 people, approximately.
Yes, yes.
And unfortunately, there's been over 70 deaths in that period.
I was going to say, a lot of people, you know, they buy their boat and don't equip it properly, or, as we were discussing off air earlier, don't know how to use the equipment they've actually got on the boat. That's a bit of a worry.
One of the big things that the squadron's involved in is educating the public. We run courses in radio and we run courses in seamanship. Just by way of saying, this is our manual for the seamanship course, and It helps people to know how to handle their boat, how to recognise the navigation marks at sea, how to prepare for a trip and how to go safely and come home.
A lot of the time, I mean, you often hear in the news people go out in a boat that's not suitable for the distance they're offshore, like it's an open boat, for example, and they have the life jackets on board in some cases and EPIRBs and that sort of stuff, but when the wave hits them or something, a freak of current, they're not wearing these things. So I don't know.
In some states now, it is mandatory to wear life jackets. And certainly with the new technology in life jackets, the yokes, they're very comfortable and you do not know you've got them on. But we still have a reluctance in South Australia for people to wear them. And so we do lose people where it's unnecessary.
Now, what about funding? Obviously, it's largely a volunteer group. You guys out there on your boats?
We're all volunteers. And we have 4 flotillas. So, you know,
where are they based?
We're based in West Beach with a second vessel down at Lonsdale, goes from O'Sullivan's Beach. We have a flotilla at Warrinna, we have a flotilla at Edithburgh, and we have one at Wallaroo on the Copper Coast.
So you're quite spread out across the state. Do you think often people think, oh, I don't need all this safety kit because if I get into trouble, you guys will turn up? Have you found that sort of attitude?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
There's a small publication, just this little fellow here, that's put out by the government.
Yep.
Put it the right way up, that'd probably help, won't it?
South Australian Recreational Boating.
Yeah, put out by the government, and that lists everything you need to know. So if you don't want to come to us, you can get them for free, and that'll tell you what you should have on your vessel.
For seamanship and safety and all the rest of it. So if people want to join your organisation, is there age limits? What experience do you have to have?
You can't be operational under 18 years of age, and to be operational in our organisation, you must be fit and able to carry out the duties. Other than that, there's no limit in any way.
So there's always someone manning, presumably, the radio frequencies for distress calls and that sort of thing off our coastline. Must take a bit of a toll. Who draws the short straw? How does the roster work?
Well, our volunteers actually man our radio base 12 hours a day, 365 days a year. In that duty, we not only monitor local radio, but we do coast radio, which covers the whole coast of South Australia.
Okay. So people going out in boats, I mean, obviously if you're in a little tinny, you're not going to go out miles and miles. Are you stunned by how silly some people sometimes are? A couple of cases, I don't know, that might stand out in your mind.
They do. Sometimes people don't do the necessary first checks, don't prepare for their trip in the correct manner, and therefore they go out when it looks sunny, not knowing there's a cold front coming, and in an inadequate craft for the distance that they go out, and then they get into trouble. It's very, very sad when you're part of a search and what you find is a body, not live people.
It's a shame and a terrible thing, but your search patterns, you're telling us, it's quite well organised, like a military precision, really. Tell us about how you go about looking for missing boats and or people in the water.
Our search patterns are very, very scientific nowadays, and one of our members is a whiz at this sort of creating this sort of technology and using it so that we allow for the wind, we allow for the tides, the time since the report came in or the people have gone missing, the areas where we thought they were, and from that we extrapolate where the most likely areas are, and then we start a search pattern. All of that is done with SAPOL, South Australian Water Police, and they coordinate all the big searches, and all of the marine rescue services are brought in as required depending on the size of the incident.
Because the sea is pretty unforgiving. I used to be in the Navy, and as you say, some days it's great, we'll go out for a bit and catch a few fish and what have you, and there's the sequence of waves or a swell or something, and the boats can be swamped. I mean, common sense plays a big part in this too, doesn't it, Frank?
Very much. One of our safety maxims is know your vessel and know your own abilities. Because if you don't know how your vessel would behave in certain circumstances, or you don't have any abilities to know what to do in certain circumstances, then you're setting yourself up to get into trouble.
Now, obviously, we're talking about training and what have you. Are there classes people can go along to? Is there like a night?
Yes, there are.
Tell us about that and how often.
We run at least 4 seamanship classes a year. They run for 8 weeks on a Thursday night for 8 weeks, and they will take people right through all about preparing their boat, knowing their boat, We have practical days. They learn about actually letting off flares, about using their EPIRB and all the safety equipment on the boat, and how to recognise all of the signs and signals at sea, because you have navigational markers of all sizes and shapes that you need to be able to know what does that mean.
And obviously when you're fitting your boat out with the EPIRB, the electronic tracking devices and radios and what have you, you don't have to buy the most expensive thing in the world. I guess a basic one will do as long as you know how to use it.
Very much so. The big problem, as you said, people put the life jackets under the seat, and when the boat gets into trouble, they don't float up. The same with an EPIRB. An EPIRB is only good if it's released and activated. If it's put in the wrong place in the boat, it goes down with the boat, or it's not accessible. Just tell us those numbers again, just those figures you were talking about before, the numbers of the rescues that you've actually done. And is this over 12 months, yeah? No, this is over since 1960. Oh, since 1960, okay, yes. But it gets more every year. Yes. The interesting thing is that technology has made many craft more reliable than they used to be. The old inboard engines, there were more fires in those days, and also more breakdowns. However, the sheer number of craft on the water now, on a good day, means that even though a small percentage break down, that's still a large number of people needing assistance. So what percentage of people don't have any nautical skills whatsoever, buy the boat and just go out and ignore all of that? I mean, they're just asking for trouble. They are, but I would still say it's around 10–15%. Gee. What alcohol obviously plays a part in some of this too. People go out and have a few with their mates. Do you find that? We do, and of course there is a strict law. The law says that you must be under 0.05%, not up to, but under that. And so if you're in charge of a craft. So you can't have many beers. Alcohol and water in boats is not a good mix. So tell us where, have you got a website people can find you? Certainly do, and have a look? SAC Rescue Squadron. Okay, so people should be just aware of what you're offering and say take part in all these things and hopefully go out and have a happy day fishing or skiing or whatever you're doing and come back alive. That's the main thing. Peter, the one thing we'd love them to do, whether it's with our organisation or any of the other marine rescue organisations, is to log on with their radio. Okay. Now, yes, we do like to have the correct radio procedures. However, that's useless if you don't know how to work it. That's not necessary. And people are a bit scared sometimes. Oh, I don't know the right procedure. I won't use it. Fair enough. But hey, we love them to log on. It means their radio's working. It means they know how to work their radio, and it means we've got some clue of where they are and when they're expected back. Absolutely. These are very important. Thank you very much for coming on and having a chat. Fantastic. Thank you for the opportunity. No Fantastic. Worries. Thank you.
Next on Our Time, we're talking travel once again with Hello World. We've got Alicia and Rowan. Welcome to you. Hi, Peter. Now, funding your trip. Now, there are many, many ways of doing it. You're the finance expert. What are the many ways people can do to actually pay for their holidays, Rowan? Well, there's cash is the thing we've always had over years. Cash is king, but you can also take a TravelX cash passport. That's a prepaid debit card that people use overseas. It's quite popular in our branch. So it's all electronic these days? There's no more paper things you have to cart around, travellers' checks, all that sort of stuff? Nah, travellers' checks is just too difficult to cash most of the time. So now you just take a card, use that for FPOS and also taking money out of ATMs. TravelX don't have a fee for that. There's only a fee at the other end if the machine's got one, so you don't get double dipped. I was going to say people have to obviously study the exchange rates too, Alicia, to find out the best deal currency to take with them or however it works? It's good. So you can actually load it in your current, say if you're going to the US, you can load it in US dollars, and that way whatever the rate you load it, that's what it gets locked in. So if the rate drops, you know you're going to get it at the rate that you sort it out. So you go into your business, obviously. Yes. What's the procedure? It's easy, so easy. Just only takes a couple of minutes. Alicia will send the customer over to us in the TravelX booth. You don't even have to fill a form in anymore. It's just a couple of security questions, show your ID, and the cards are activated and you're given to you on the spot. Okay.
So it's really just a few minute process.
So what about security? Obviously, people on holidays, when I travelled years ago, you know, you had to have everything on you all the time, your passport and special belts and hidden pockets and all sort of stuff. How secure are these cards if, say, perhaps you might lose one or something else?
Yeah, well, they're PIN protected, Peter, so you get 2 cards with it. On the off chance you did lose one of those cards, you could still use the other one. And your friends and family can still load the cards for you here in Travelex,
really?
yeah, which a lot of places don't allow. So we do a third-party reload. So if your kids are overseas and you want to reload the card, the money goes on straight away. And it's all you need is their card number. It's a really easy process.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Because obviously in the past you had to say, send me some money via Western Union or whatever, and it would take some time. But this is virtually what, instant?
It is instant, yeah. So with the time difference overseas, people put the money in, message the child or their mate, whoever, and get some money straight away.
Fantastic and so convenient. So what's the most somebody's put on their card? Have you got a record, an all-time record, a spender that you can think of?
It's 100k in 12-month period. So if you're going to go bananas, you can put up to 100,000 in 12 months.
Okay.
As for a record, yeah, probably 50, I suppose, is the most someone's put on in one hit. Yeah, a fella brought cash in that day as well.
So travelling obviously is a lot easier than it used to be, and this is really good peace of mind, Alicia, for people who want to go away. And they say the backup, if you lose it, it's all...
Is that you've got like 2 cards as well, and that way you can always get access to another card through Travelex as well if you lose both of them for some reason. Yes.
Now, obviously in Australia you've got your ATMs. Is there a special machine in each country that through Travelex you have to go to, or can you do it just about anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere that's a MasterCard machine. So you don't have to seek out a Travelex branded machine per se. It's just anything MasterCard.
Yes.
They're one of the world. They're one of the leaders, so there's plenty of MasterCard ATMs around. There's also a locator on the website, so if you're going to a city the next day, you can always check if you're running low on money.
I was going to say, you obviously have a website, and it's pretty convenient.
Yep.
So how many people take advantage of it? Obviously this is the norm now.
Yes. So yeah, it's just about a majority of our travellers do take them, and it's good because it's a very good safety thing, because that way as soon as they come back, if they wish, they can close the account, and it's not linked to any of their personal bank accounts here as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's entirely separate.
They come back to any debts. It's a prepaid card that you put on what you want to put on there and load more on when you want to. Yeah, you never come back to any bills for it.
I was going to say, so even if you didn't spend all that was on the card, you can cash out.
You get the Australian equivalent of that day when you want to cash it out.
Gee, that's pretty good. So when people go away, I guess the best thing to do is first of all look at the website, or could drop in and say hello to you guys.
Yeah, most people seem to come and have a chat to us first, and we explain it in plain English and what's best to do. We don't hassle people to buy it then and there, just explain the basics, and most people seem to come back and purchase it.
Okay, so when you're booking holidays, obviously you don't do it in one day and go the next. You do it a bit in advance. Is there any advantage to booking sort of early for holidays? With the card, or with your...
That doesn't really matter. I guess it's just the exchange rate of what day you elect to get the card for that reload. So as for some people buy them on the way to the airport, that's cutting it fine. But if you're in that predicament, you can still do that. Yeah.
So it's great peace of mind, isn't it, Alicia, with you knowing that you've just got this one thing to look after rather than reams of papers and travellers' checks and everything else that used to be.
Yes.
And I guess people will take advantage of it. So throughout the week, say, how many people would you book through your agency? Is it lots?
It's quite a few. So we at least get, say 4 or 5 a day as well. So yeah, exactly.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Alicia and Rowan from Travelex and from Hello World.
We'll
talk again later.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Malcolm, another interesting program. I hope it's helped everybody that are watching.
Yes, because if you can't hear us, get a hearing aid.
Oh,
Pete, interesting talking about safety in the ocean, rescues in the ocean.
We're having a chat with Frank Miller, of course, from the South Australian Sea Rescue Squadron, and a lot of common sense stuff from Frank, because a lot of people go out, they haven't got the right kit, have they, Frank? And
no, and they don't know how to use it, which is the big issue. So it always gets busier over summer, and we're very hopeful that we won't see as many people, that they'll be more educated and they'll be able to boat in a more safe manner.
I like the idea of a swimming pool personally.
Spa.
Oh, the spa, that's it. Just hard to drown in the spa.
The floaties?
Yeah, in the spa. Oh, absolutely. With hearing loss and hearing aids, we were just saying before, go to your local GP because they can
Absolutely.
start the process for you, and that's always a good place to start.
Definitely.
And we were talking about this earlier with Craig. There's no stigma to this anymore. I mean,
No.
we used to have these huge things that look really bad. Oh, he's an old guy with no hearing.
Same as glass.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We were saying
Tiny,
same as
no
glass.
one knows you have them.
No,
And even if they did, it's the latest trend.
Yeah.
Can you see mine? They're there.
Well, you know, I was far too polite to comment on that, but you're wearing one of the little behind the ear ones.
I
aren't
am
you?
indeed, yes.
And you finding that successful?
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
And that's changed your life?
Very much so.
Before you were a girl?
Stop
No?
it.
Oh, sorry, no.
Sometimes.
Wrong.
Depends on the clothes. But
But a lot of those hearing aids, obviously, they cancel out background noise as well, I think, Craig, too,
Yes.
don't they? And which is
Absolutely.
great, so you can actually
Yep.
filter out what you're hearing. Eh?
Exactly. It's just
Oh, it's all in
clarity.
front of us, Pete.
I reckon.
Yes.
I'm just a young bloke, don't worry.
Yes, you should dye your hair like me. Listen, we're going to see you soon on OurTime if you tune in next time, which we hope you do. Remember, you can find us on Facebook with a whole lot of our back episodes, and we'd love you to be part of our family. So until next time, keep yourself nice till then.
Good night.
bye.